The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
構成藤田 Listening Keeping Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review nights 9 through 13 of World Tag League and cover all of this news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Young boy, how you doing, man?
If I'm being honest with you, bro, I'm exhausted. I don't know if it's just the weather change or the time change. It gets dark, I don't know. But
darkness, everybody.
Unity.
Unity.
Oh, darkness is. Yo, that shit's so funny. It's like, man, come on. You think I'm gonna just put my muddy feet on someone's couch like that and just, I got more sense than that. Yeah, I remember putting my muddy feet up on someone's.
One of the 5 fingers, say the face, slap.
He was a habitual line stepper. Oh man, I love Chappelle Show. Yeah, bro. Just celebrated 1 year of marriage. Congratulations to us.
Congratulations.
But, I only really, not to celebrate me, but I bring that up to say this. So, a month or so back, I booked a couples massage. It's something we like to do every now and again. Just like to flex, go all out, whatever. Give you cucumber water, all that shit, just pamper, right? So I book a special massage, like an hour and a half. I'm like, whatever. I'm going to pay for the extra half hour. We're going to get our money's worth, and this time, instead of like adding aromatherapy or instead of adding like the scalp massage, I added cupping, cause bro, my back and my neck have been messed up. And I was like, I'm going to look like a wrestler in the middle of the G1 right now. Like, and bro, like, it was a great massage. Everything's feeling great. Both me and my wife were like, man, we feel so good. I get home and I swear to God, not even 5 minutes after getting home, I took a step, just a regular step the wrong way. And I was like, my whole entire like neck and back like seized up. And then my wife, like the same thing happened to her like the next day. And bro, I am hurting. Like, I was looking forward to this for so long. I was like, oh yeah, finally I'm going to like have a little bit of relief. I'm not going to have this neck and this shoulder pain. Everything's going to be working the way it's supposed to. Bro, not even 5 minutes later, like my money was fucking wasted.
Worked. Oh man, that sucks, man. Because a good massage can really get you in the right spot and get you relaxed and realigned and all that stuff.
My body was like, nah, son, you're going to do this job.
Have you ever done the Hot Rocks gimmick?
I have. I've done all of them.
Yeah.
Done them all.
I like that.
Yeah. Hot Stone's fire. I remember one time I was in Cambodia and we did the fish massage. And
What's that?
You never seen the fish massages?
No.
They used to have them here in Tampa, but they outlawed them, I think, for like hygienic reasons. But they have these like little minnows or whatever, these little fish. You put your feet in a fish tank and all the fish rush to your feet and they eat away all the dead skin that's on there.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of that. Yeah.
And I did that in Cambodia. I did a bunch of massages. I didn't do nothing that wasn't on the up and up. Everything was, no, because you could get that shit over there, but I didn't do anything like that. I was, good Christian guy. But no, I did the foot massage and they had a sign that said, fishy foot massage, $1. You get a free beer with your drink, with your massage. And it says, very good, no piranha. But here's where it gets nasty. So I was on a trip with a bunch of work buddies. It was like related to it was like a service mission. You like donated sales and then you got to go over there, whatever. And we built latrines and shit like that. But we're at the night market and I got my feet in there and bro, I'm super ticklish. So like those fish, I was like thrashing and shit. And like, I'm like, it tickled. But my buddy, big dude, Greg, sweaty dude, he probably could be a pro wrestler. This dude's huge. Bro, he put his feet in, and the moment his feet went in, every single, when my feet were in there, they were most of the fish were attracted, but there's still a lot of them swimming around. They weren't all bombarding me. Bro, this guy put his feet into the tank that was next to me. Every single fish in the entire tank swarmed him and I couldn't keep getting the massage. They gave me my money back.
Wow.
So I still got the free drink. I got a little bit of a foot massage, but yeah, I've done all different types of massage, but yeah, it fucking sucks. I'm feeling stiff. Feeling
like a stiff boy.
Yeah. I feel like I've been taking bumps and I didn't take a single bump. So
Well, that stinks. But speaking of stiff and stiff boys, we can officially announce on the podcast. We kind of already alluded to it, but the social media posts went out this weekend. The Podcasting Summit 2026. So our fan meetup for Wrestle Kingdom is official. So it's going to be us, Stiff Josh from We Work Stiff, Jeremy Finestone from Speaking of Strong Style, and Joel Abraham of the Super J-Cast. We're all going to be getting together at the Hub Pub, 3-minute walk away from the Tokyo Dome, 12 p.m. That's going to be our official get-together and meetup. And shout out to Stiff Josh for creating an awesome logo for this event. There's a t-shirt that's available on what's that, TeePublic?
It's on TeePublic. You have the link. Will you be able to embed it into our shit this week?
Yeah, I'll put the shirt link in the description of the show. So if you're listening, look in the podcast episode description, and the link will be there. Also, go to our X or Blue Sky account at KI Strong Style. The great Emily has made sure to get all the links and details out there for the event and the merchandise link.
I like that. Emily the Great.
Yes.
And it's more than just shirts. So, I mean, it's not the easiest interface to use, but if you go to this link, you're going to see 2 different logos that he designed. Either one can be applied to apparel, but it's all different kinds of shirts, all different kinds of colors. So if you purchase one of these, it's not like you're going to have the same exact attire that everybody else has. And there's a way where you can view the adult apparel and whatever they're called, I don't know, like they have hats and stickers and buttons and shit like that. But
yeah,
you can get a tank top, you can get a crew neck sweatshirt, you can get a hoodie,
the baseball tee, Young Lion style. Tee.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can pretty much make this one of one, customize it however you want. If you're going to get this, though, it pretty much ships anywhere worldwide, but you need to get it this week if you plan to, or pay extra to have it, expedited, shipped to wherever you are so that you have it before the meetup, if that's your intention, unless you just the design's pretty sick. Like you might just want one before, or just in general.
Yeah, and they're running a 35% off gimmick right now. So yeah, now's a great week to hop on that.
It was 40. We didn't get it out in time, but actually, I don't know. They said 40, and then it was like $16 for the shirt, but now it's saying 35% off.
And it's still 16.
And it's still 16, so it doesn't totally make sense to me. And you know what, Jeremy, I didn't really clear this with the guys, but I pretty much just told Stiff Josh, I'm like, hey, we can just give you the money for this. They're his designs. We don't need the money. I figure we just give it to him. Because if I'm being completely dead honest, you don't. For going forward for our merch, we probably don't want to use this TeePublic. It's very easy to upload shit and you can get stuff out there, but you don't make much off of it, like at all. But I was like, hey, it's his design. So I didn't really tell the rest of the podcast, but I'm just like, we'll just give that money to Stiff Josh. He like went out of his, he went out of his way to design those logos for us. So yeah, we're looking forward to meeting up with everybody. And fuck Tokyo Joshi Pro if you're going to that show.
Yes, we know we had a lot of people reach out, and yeah, man, you're going head to head with Tokyo Joshi Pro, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. You know, we don't have plans on going to Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm sure it'll be a fun show, but we want to get together before the Dome and hang out.
Another thing too is like this is super lax and unofficial. Like if you go into the pub that day and you're like, I'm here for the Strong Style
the podcasting summit.
Nobody's gonna know what the fuck you're talking about. It's just a bunch of people all happening to be in the pub at the same time, unaffiliated with one another. So you know,
like LIJ, unaffiliated.
Yo, it was funny though. One of the other podcast hosts was like, I got this idea. You know, maybe we could print up business cards and put QR codes on them that like, you know, link to the shows and blah, blah. And we'll pass those out when we're there. I was like, I don't know if you want to do that, bro. We did that in New York. we held a party now that was a little different because we actually had the space that was like not rented out, but it was offered to us.
Right. Like we the whole top floor of that Hooters was ours.
But like, when we passed out those flyers, we didn't expect we took like what 200-300 of those and we just passed out like 10 at a show at a time. And so many fucking people showed up for that thing. Like they were like turning people away. And I was like, I don't know if you want that many people. I don't know if you want hundreds of people showing up at the pub before the Tokyo Dome. Like, I don't know, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, the flyers, and it was also the tweet from our good friend Will Ospreay, who was looking for a place to watch WrestleMania, and somebody shared the flyer graphic. So yeah, we had all of Ospreay and Aussie Open and all those dudes up in there.
Bro, we had all of like Res and like Australia Res in that pub. There was a lot of like NJPW talent there that night, which is kind of funny. So yeah, we're looking forward to that, and definitely purchase those shirts. Immortality 777. Imagine the look of horror on Japanese staff at pub if you tell them in English, yeah, I'm here for that. Yeah, I was thinking of that too. In fact, like, I don't even know how we're going to communicate. I know that there are a lot of like English speakers there, but I'm sure it's, from what I've read, it's less than you would imagine. And I don't know any Japanese. So I'm like, I hope we're able to like navigate.
Yeah. My brother actually went to Japan about a month ago, and he gave me a list of some basic words we should use and learn.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, yeah, so I'll pass that along, and we can practice for the next couple weeks here.
And now that I'm like learning that it doesn't seem like this Tanahashi Nakamura match is happening on 1-1, which appears to be like a mistranslation or misunderstanding of the article that was out from that interview with Tanahashi. I don't know that I want to see that show so bad anymore.
You don't want to see the Good Brothers?
Yeah. Once I found out.
You don't want to see Bushi?
Yeah. Once I found out like that it was going to be Bushi and Good Brothers, it's like, it'd be cool to see Naito. I'm sure he's going to get like a monster pop, but it's like
we've been seeing Naito.
Yeah. I don't know that I need to see Mizawa's green mat. You know what I mean? Like, my blood is, cerulean blue. You know what I'm saying? Like
Shinihon.
Shinihonbi.
Oh man.
But yeah, we're looking forward to that. Also this coming week, FOH, the 9th annual FOH is this Saturday night, and you're hearing it here first live on the air. We are going to make FOH available for the first time ever live.
We're doing it live
via video. And the video will also be available in post for those who are not able to attend. So basically it's going to go down like this. If you still just want the audio through our PayHip, which is a donation setup, as it's always been in the past, pay what you think it's worth. You can still do that. If you would rather just get the video version of it, the audio and the visuals in post, you'll be able to do that. But for those people who are willing to pay to view it live, you're going to get a special link to the show. We haven't decided the exact time. I'm thinking it's probably going to be like 7 or 8-ish.
Yeah, I think the graphic that like I said, I saw earlier that said 7 on it. So
okay, so we're thinking 7 or 8, but it's a $20 minimum that you will pay to get in. And some people do, believe it or not, they pay above and beyond the $20. Some people kind of look at it as like a thank you for all the work we do throughout the year, and that is still available. But basically, if you pay the $20, you will get to watch live. You will get to vote on the snake draft order that we will be voting for FOH in order. And there's going to be a special lightning round, and we are going to allow individuals that are part of the show. Oh, and well, actually, before I get to that, number 3, you'll be able to comment during the show live, and we will read your comments throughout the show as we're able to, depending on how inebriated we are. And then number 4, during the lightning round, we will allow people to suggest, what do we call the lightning
topics,
round?
I guess, suggests, yeah.
Yeah, so you will give us suggestions. We're going to cap it at like a minute to a minute and a half, and we will basically FOH any topic that you want to throw out there. So we're going to have fan engagement, interaction, live viewing, and it's completely uncut, unfiltered. Jeremy, for anyone who doesn't know what FOH is, go ahead and let them know, what this basically is, what the tradition is.
Yeah, so this is our, like I mentioned, 9th annual FOH draft. This is the Christmas special crossover with us, Keeping It Strong Style, and Rich Latta and James Boyd of One Nation Radio. So pretty much how it works, we get together, we throw some drinks down, some cold ones, and we shoot on the business. We take turns drafting something that we want to get the FOH, and we all just take turns burying that topic, and we usually do 2 rounds of that, and then the lightning round. But it's just a good way, it all started because of our frustrations with watching WWE and all of the stupid stuff and the bad booking and all the political stuff, Saudi Arabia, all the Vince McMahon allegations. And so, initially, I think the very first one was like the WWE FOH draft. But I don't think it was strictly WWE, but it probably was all WWE centric topics mostly. Yeah, and then from there on, obviously, other promotions have fell in line for the draft, and so yeah, no promotion is safe, no promoter is safe, no continent is safe. We will go after any topic we deem necessary to FOH. Yeah, I can't tell you guys what is for sure going to get drafted. But if you think John Cena's retirement run isn't getting FOH'd, you got another thing coming. The death of Hulk Hogan, that's getting FOH'd for sure. Gato, I'm coming for you. Yeah, so it's going to be a great time. You don't want to miss this. And it's always the wildest show that we have all year long. So really looking forward to that this coming Saturday evening. Yeah. And one more thing about our time in Japan. I know we're kind of joking about the Tokyo Joshi fans, but, we'll be around after the show. We will be at New Year's Dash. We're planning to hit up some of the All Japan Corkins. So there will be plenty of opportunities to hang out with us. I know a lot of the newsletter folks, it sounds like, are going to be in Japan and are going to Tokyo Joshi Pro. And Tim Hunter and the crew. So definitely want to link up with you guys either after the Dome, New Year's Dash, or one of these Corkins we're going to be at. So definitely hit us up when you're there. And then last other housekeeping item here, our year-end awards. We are vigilantly working on the ballot and getting the categories and nominees together. So hopefully later this month, the ballot will be out for that, and we'll get voting underway for our year-end awards. And I saw some discussion in our channel, trying to give Tai Chi Wrestler of the Year and trying and some other stuff. But Josh and I, we lay down the nominees, so we'll pick nominees, but y'all vote, and looking forward to the results of that.
Yeah, these are fan voted awards, but the nominations are not open for debate. Me and Jeremy work diligently on those. We define the criteria, and then we will set those out for you here shortly. We're working on them. Feels like this is one of the busiest Decembers we've probably ever had, with the upcoming trip and all the different projects we have going on, our careers. Jeremy's got a baby coming on the way, so it's coming out a little later than it normally does, but it will be out.
Yes.
One last thing. I know he says the last bit of housekeeping, but I need to make this mention of this. So Tanahashi Ace of the Universe, I've got 3 episodes in the can. I need to get those uploaded for Jeremy so he can start getting those out. But I will say this. There's no way I'm going to finish this project before January 4th. Tokyo Dome. I really overestimated how much work and time this was going to take, and then started kicking it in high gear the last few weeks. And I've come to the conclusion that, for the sake of my health and well-being and the sake of my career, there's just no way that I can pump these out at the rate that I was anticipating wanting to. Oh, well, I could, but then I'd have to put every other thing in my life on the back burner, and it's not working for me. So the nice thing about it, though, is that I think I'm going to get pretty deep into the project still, nonetheless, by the time January 4th comes around. And I think that there will still be in the following of Tanahashi's retirement, I still think that there will be people interested in the project. It's evergreen content. So we'll probably be knocking out those last few episodes in January and February, and then we'll have a retrospective sometime shortly after that. So I'd rather, commit to having quality on this project and doing it the way it deserves to be done than kind of half-assing it, rushing everything. So, but it's coming along, and it's going really well, and we'll get that out to you guys here shortly.
Yeah. And actually, one more thing I just thought about. You mentioned your wedding anniversary, which just reminded me that today is actually the 8-year anniversary of Keeping It Strong Style. We started in I think it was December 5th, 2017. So this is the 8-year anniversary week of the show. I did that math right?
18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, 8 years.
Yep. So we're starting our 9th year.
That's fucking crazy.
So yeah, happy anniversary. Oh man.
What is the show, like a second grader?
Third and third grade. Yeah, depending on, I guess, your birthday. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this show's probably a second grader. Probably got held back and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, we did get a really kind comment recently on the YouTube. Someone was listening to the first episode, and they said, 415 episodes later, and you guys are still keeping a strong style. Congrats, guys. That was a really kind comment. But we also got some nasty comments for a little while back during the. What's funny is, the comments, people will post them, right? But we don't run the YouTube. Rich kind of runs the YouTube. And if something gets flagged by YouTube and it's like, oh, this is derogatory or whatever, it might not get displayed. So we never saw these comments until the other week, but we thought they were pretty comical. So, Emily put them up on the Twitter, but basically someone was not happy with my comments about the Okada and Tanahashi and fucking whatever. Who's the other guy? Nakamura situation and Takeshita as champion. And they were telling me to quit the show. And I was thinking, they were like, the show would be so much better without you. And I was like, but I'm one half of the show. So like,
yeah.
So what do you, first off, if you really hate listening to me on this show so much, why are you fucking listening to the show in the like, you hate listening, dog? Like, what the hell? But then
some people do that.
I guess so. I don't do that. But the next thing I was like, damn, they just want the Jeremy Donovan show, you know?
Yeah, I don't know about all that every week, but especially
Jeremy,
during.
Are you up for that shit? Like what?
Nah.
The show would be so much better without one half of the show. So that means either it's you or you got to find a new co-host. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not doing any of that.
You got to figure it out, bro. That's what the people are asking for. Oh man.
All right, well, let's jump into World Tag League. So we had nights 9 through 13 in the past week. And as of this morning, we have the first place and second place set in the A block. So we'll start there. So on top of the A block, A1, Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, 5 and 2 of 10 points. Night 9, defeating Don Fale and Evil. Night 11, defeating Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji. Night 13, defeating the War Dragons. And yep, that was their week.
Yeah, so I mean, on night 9, them beating House of Torture, that was a huge win, one that was desperately needed to not only continue the campaign for Bishamon, but to pretty much block the efforts of Fale and Evil. And we were very reticent to the prospect that they might be one of the finalists. So that was and the crowd was both times that Fale and Evil have lost here, like the crowd has just been ecstatic about it. So it is one of those things we always talk about, how it's like you're not happy watching that team wrestle, and they cheat so much during, any House of Torture team, they cheat so much during these tournaments, and it just kind of sucks, brings the quality down. But then you get those happy moments at the end of the tournament where they start following on the banana peel, their cheating ways backfire, and the crowd is so ecstatic. And it depends on what your mileage is on that. Like if you're someone who's really caught up in the live show element of it and how ecstatic the crowd is, that payoff might be worth it for you. For me, I'd rather just not see the shit, but whatever. Like I get it. But night 11 was really interesting because we got to the point where Kid and Tsuji were so dominant in the block that if they had won that match, they pretty much were going to lock up their spot in the playoffs right then and there. And that was kind of the tell that they probably weren't going to win that match. The match itself was still very good, but in the preview tags leading up to it, we started to finally, we sort of were speculating about this last week, and it started coming to fruition this week where some of these House of Torture unaffiliated War Dog teams are starting to have more levels of strife and dissension. And that really came to fruition here. These guys, Tsuji and Kid, they're not on the same page any longer. They're still having some success and still winning, but yeah, they fell here to Bishamon. And then on the final night, Bishamon and War Dogs, or the War Dragons, I should say, that was the main event of the evening. And that was basically a win and you're in situation. So high stakes, high drama. Both Bishamon versus unaffiliated War Dogs matches to close out the A block were really good. I felt like the one with Tsuji and Kid was maybe a tad bit better, but both really, really good matches. And the last thing I will say, Jeremy, Bishamon has been steady. They've been consistent. They're having good matches. I don't know how many of their matches I would say are top of the block level, but they're always consistently where you kind of expect them to be, but they're not blowing me away this tournament.
Yeah, I think they're kind of 3.5 star minimum. You're going to get a good, hard hitting, solid match out of them. Some of their main events have peaked a little bit higher, but yeah, they're not throwing out a bunch of tag team match of the year contenders here. But it's been very good work. Also, the crowd's still into, the Goto Revolution. And yeah, I really enjoyed them versus Kid and Tsuji. Thought it was very hard-hitting, a lot of drama there. Also, them and the War Dragons was also a very entertaining main event as well. So it's kind of like we predicted last week that, yeah, Bishamon would kind of be on the upswing and would be a team in contention. The Fall of Evil match was what it was, but like you mentioned, the crowd was very happy to see Fale and Evil get a loss there and kind of even some points up there at that point of the tournament. So yeah, so they looked really good. And we had a question here from Les Commission 7252 saying, are you okay with Bishamon winning Tag League, or is it a setback for Goto after his stellar year as world champion? He possibly will either challenge for tag belts at the Dome in a regular tag or be a part of a multi-man tag title match. But I feel like the move for him is to face Zack at the Dome due to hopefully Zack and Oiwa going through to eliminate or beat Bishamon in the finals.
Yeah, I think that was going to be. I didn't finish reading the question. I was going to say, like, what is your alternative that you would like to see happen there if, in fact, he isn't in the tag team match? Because it's sort of like a lot of that card is already decided. Now, here's my question to that. It's like, okay, if you feel like Zack and Goto need to run it again, is that too much sameness? We've already gotten would this be the fourth match between them in the calendar year?
Yeah, because they had the New Beginning in Osaka match. They had two
title matches. I just can't recall if they also wrestled in the G1 or not.
They had 3 title matches because they had the one where Goto won. You had the draw, and then you had Zack beating Goto.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So this would be like the fourth match within a 12-month period. And the question is, usually in a situation like that, you get a special singles match in the Dome. You're setting up the winner to potentially probably face a champion. And we got those 2 top titles, being, I don't know if they're unified. Well, I guess sort of unified, even if they're not like going to be one title. There's going to be one champion for both belts. Is that where we're in that particular scenario? Is that what we're looking to see? Is Goto or Zack being set up as the first challenger for Takeshita? I don't know that that's, the most enticing or exciting thing that you could do. The other thing too is for a lot of these other young guys that are out there that people are hoping to see involved in something of note during the Tokyo Dome, whether that's Gabe Kidd or whether that's Oiwa or Uemura or, like Shota Umino, whoever you might name, that's one less slot where those guys can also do something meaningful. So it's a little bit of give and take. You kind of have to decide who it is that you want to see get those pushes. And is it more Zack and Goto, or are you wanting to see the young guys get that opportunity? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zack and Goto in a de facto number 1 contendership match makes a lot of sense with them being the last 2 champions. And, Goto never lost the belt. I mean, he did get a title match against Takeshita and lost, but he never lost the belt. Oh, he lost to Zack and got hurt, and so never got a chance to, rematch Zack. So I think there's a built-in story there. You can set that match up, high stakes, high drama, and the winner faces the winner of Tsuji and Takeshita. And I think either way, there's a story there. Goto could have won a rematch with Takeshita. Him and Tsuji have history. And same with Zack. We've seen the Zack-Takeshita rivalry this year. And then Zack and Tsuji had a great G1 final last year. So there are some stories you can tell if one of those guys wins and is the first challenger. However, like you were saying, it's like, all right, do we want to run that back again and give them a spot? Or do we want to give, one of the Reiwa guys a singles match if they're not going through to Tag League? And I don't think the tag team title match is a bad spot for Goto. I think it's a good spot to get him on the card and have him featured while not being an afterthought. Because they might not go him versus Zack route, because we don't know how many more matches they're actually going to add to this card. Again, with the whole like TV ramifications, with wanting to give matches more time. And, they're doing this, never 6-man Rambo thing. They're not doing the regular Rambo. So I don't know, like, how many more matches are going to be. And so I think being in the tag title match is a fine spot. I don't think it's like a demotion for Goto. I mean, Bishamon, they are like this era's really top tag team, and it makes a ton of sense to have them in there. And I think, using them to feud against Knockout Brothers, I think is a good utilization of Bishamon while Goto's not in the title picture. So I'm totally fine with it.
The other thing too is, in order for TMDK to get through, we're going to talk about some playoff scenarios, but the B block is a mess. And it's very specific things have to happen in order for that team to even get to that point for this scenario that you would like to see happen for that to occur. I'm okay with my problem isn't so much about, if Bishamon goes through and Goto had this fantastic year, now he's being relegated to the tag team titles. That's the issue. I'm fine from that aspect. I don't care about Bishamon, the most decorated tag team in New Japan of the past, probably decade. I'm fine with them going and challenging for the tag titles in some sort of scenario. I think that makes a lot of sense. My issue is, do we want Bishamon winning this thing for a fourth time in 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, they had the three-peat already. So, yeah, it would be very repetitive of them to win again. But, I mean, we've seen Gato do that and give, certain juniors, certain heavyweights these multiple tournament wins to fully, cement and establish them as the best in their division. So, I mean, that could easily happen. I just
don't know that they need that. Like a fourth win. Cool, I guess. But it's just like, I don't know. We've complained about like how often Ghetto makes particular individuals or teams win the same tournaments over and over and over again. And that's always going to be to the detriment of somebody else that you could work to get over. I'm not necessarily, for the sake of World Tag League, I'm not a big fan of Bishamon winning this thing again.
Especially because there are so many great teams in this tournament that would be compelling to win. There's a lot of compelling options to win this thing. And I mean, from the A block, it's like, all right, we're about to talk about Tsuji and Kid. Like, it seems like their chances of winning are not very high, with obviously Tsuji already having, the double title match main event. So Bishamon seems very ripe to get to at least the finals from the A block. I mean, again, I guess they could do a double B block final of both A block teams losing, but usually they do the A versus B thing, so it seems like Bishamon could slide through the finals. But whoever faces Bishamon, I mean, that's a great elevation if they beat Bishamon in the finals to win the league.
Yep.
So we'll talk about A2 here, Yota Tsuji and Gabe Kidd. So also 5-2 with 10 points. Bishamon having the tiebreaker over these guys from night 11. And then on night 9, they defeated Despi and Ishikawa. And night 13, they defeated Team 100, Satoshi Kojima and Taichi. And like you alluded to earlier, Josh, and like we mentioned last week, we started to see some friction between Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, and Gabe Kidd wanting to do things a little bit more gritty, a little bit more dirty, kind of leaning back into more of that heelish Bullet Club side, and wanting to brawl throughout the crowd, wanting to use weapons in the Despi and Ishikawa match. He was pulling chairs out, he was pulling tables out. He ate a nasty Ishikawa driver off the apron and threw a table. That was sick. And so these guys have been arguing, having issues, and Tsuji being like, no, this is not how we do it. This is New Japan Pro Wrestling. We don't fight like that. That's not, with honor, blah, blah. And so now you're starting to see the philosophies of these guys start to clash, and they're having issues. And then in the Team 100 match, Tsuji was, getting isolated by Team 100, and Gabe Kidd kind of fired up and was kind of pretty much doing it on his own. And instead of them going for their new double team, the clothesline Gene Blaster, Kid just hit the Oni and the pile driver and pinned Kojima by himself, and not wanting to share, do the double team with Tsuji.
Yeah, Tsuji just stormed off to the back post match, and I mean, it's kind of interesting because that was the clincher for them to get into the playoffs as number 2, but he didn't bask in the glory of the win. He just kind of sauntered off to the back. And even during the preview tags, these guys have had issues, missed time maneuvers where they've accidentally bumped into each other. There was one night where Tsuji was refusing to tag in Gabe Kidd, and he kept tagging in Gato. And then Gato would immediately tag in Gabe Kidd, and Kidd was fucking livid. So it's pretty clear that, you know, they're not on the same page any longer, but they've had success. And we've already talked to, I'm a little surprised on the one hand that they did make it to the finals, just because Tsuji, like we've discussed, is already locked up for the Tokyo Dome. But I think that this format of having two teams go to the finals enables them to push them to a strong degree. And they sort of have to, just considering how big of a star both Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji are. And it's starting to feed into my, hypothesis that Gabe is going to be the first challenger for the new title, whatever that is, the double title or whatever, coming out of New Year's Dash, which to me would also basically lead to there's no point to having like the aforementioned hypothesis about like Saber and Goto. I don't think that that's necessarily, something that has to happen unless you're trying to set up another challenger for a little bit later down the road, because I think Gabe Kidd is going to be the first guy to get a crack here. And if that's the case, it makes sense why they've gotten so deep in the tournament. But at the same time, there's no way if they make it to even the finals, I will be shocked. It could happen, but I'll be shocked if they make it to the finals. I really think that they're probably going to get beat on the first night of the semis.
Yeah, I think they're losing to whoever that B1 team is going to be coming out of the B block finals.
That match that you mentioned though with Desperado and Shuji Ishikawa fucking rocked. That was really great. Even the match with Team 100 was a lot better than I would have expected it to be. So, I mean, I didn't love the Bishamon match, to be honest with you. It was good, but not as good as I had sort of anticipated it being, considering the two teams involved.
Yeah, I think there was a lot more focus on, can they coexist with Gabe and Tsuji. They're telling more of a story than like, we're just going to go out here to try and have stories, moments, instead of trying to have, a super great matchup. I mean, I still enjoyed the match, and I think that was the match where you had Tsuji accidentally gene blasting Gabe, which allowed Bishamon to hit a Shoto and get the win. So yeah, overall, I mean, a very entertaining week of action from Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, and that, they're going to the semifinals. They'll face the B1, but the cracks are showing, and so like you're saying, I have a very hard time seeing these guys advance from the semifinals. And we did have a question here from Def Triangle 720. Thoughts on New Japan running back matches so soon with the tease of another Tsuji Gabe match. I just don't have any excitement to see another rematch between these two so close to their last match.
Well, what do you want Gabe Kidd to do for his last match in the company?
If it is his last match.
Now, yeah, we haven't heard anything, but I've been saying all along, this guy's gone. I think he's gone. I think that's why they're doing this match. I think that this is the way they're going to send him off. He's got one foot out the door, bro. He's basically almost a roster member of AEW as it stands. I think he's gone. And I think that's why they're doing the tease right now. And I also think that's probably why there's not, as of the time of this recording, a major Gabe Kidd match set up for the Tokyo Dome. A guy who was in arguably the best Tokyo Dome match, not even arguably, inarguably the best Tokyo Dome match last year against Kenny Omega. He's got nothing going on for the Dome. I don't know. To me, that's a big shining red sign that says this guy's on his way out, and they want him to put over Tsuji in one last big match. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they've already done the announcements of next year's schedule. I don't know, but I bet you they end up doing New Beginning in Sumo Hall again.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. 1 year from the first big great matchup, New Beginning in Osaka. I think they started announcing some of the New Beginning dates, and also they got the Fantastica Mania announced as well. But yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense to run it back. And I mean, their last singles match was in October, and so by the time they wrestle again, it'll probably be February. So I think that there is enough space in between there, and if it is Gabe Kidd's last match, it could be a very kind of poetic ending. That's the guy who's kind of been his key rival here in the last couple of years. It's their history of going in the dojo together. And it gives Tsuji a great first challenger to have. It's two young guys in the title match. So I think there are a lot of positives running back Gabe and Tsuji for New Beginning next year.
Well, we've got New Beginning in Osaka set up. That's going to be, it looks like that's the only New Beginning. And it's not Joe Hall, it's Eddie on Arena. But then there's also that New Beginning USA show. And you kind of have to sort of imagine with the size of that building that there's a good chance they haven't moved very many tickets for that show. So they might need to set up a couple challengers for someone like Takeshita. I'm sorry, not Takeshita, Tsuji. I'm still just assuming Tsuji's winning the title at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
maybe he's not, maybe Takeshita's winning, but I'm just working under the assumption Tsuji's winning, that you're going to line up challengers for him at both of those shows 1 week apart. Or maybe they do need to set up some challengers for him.
Yeah. And maybe they run Tsuji Gabe in the US since they really haven't done that match in the US instead of Japan.
Maybe, I don't know. Gabe's not that big a draw over here, bro. Like, remember last year? And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm just being like legit. Remember last year, right? Coming off of the heels of the Kenny Omega shit, you thought that he was going to like be a big deal. And then those series of matches with Ishii, they just were not really that well received by the audiences live. And he's never headlined a show in America, period, ever. So I feel like if we're being honest, Gabe Kidd is at this current time, he's a much bigger deal in Japan than he is in America. Now that might not always be the case, but as of right now, he's not a big deal here.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what comes of Tsuji and Gabe in the semifinals. So next team that we'll talk about here that is eliminated are the War Dragons of Shingo Takagi and Drilla Maloney. They are 4-3 with 8 points. Night 9, War Dragons defeating Team 100. Night 11, they defeated Bolton and Yano. Night 13, losing to Bishamon in the A1 decider.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them because even though they didn't advance, they're the only team from this unaffiliated War Dogs situation that has been cohesive and had success at the, as far as like keeping things together and working together on and staying on the same page. They got very, very close. It's just they ran into Bishamon on the final night, which, kept them out of the playoffs basically.
Yeah, but overall ending with a very respectable score here. And yeah, they're one of my favorite teams to watch in the A block. And they had some good hard-hitting matches this past week. It's always good seeing Shingo and Kojima mixing it up, Shingo and Taichi. And Drilla did good in that match as well. So that Team 100 match was a lot of fun to watch. The Bolton Yano match was fine. And then the Bishamon match was really good. So yeah, I thought they had a solid week of action, and they were, one of my favorite teams in the A block. And it does kind of stink because, they gel together, kayfabe and not kayfabe. They gel together really well, had some really cool double team combos, and were just this kind of beefy, kick-ass tag team that, depending on how things shake out, if Drilla's sticking around and the other guys leave, like, I would love to see him and Shingo continue the team.
I doubt it. I don't think they will. But you just never know how, like you said, how things will shake out. But my question to you, who do you feel like was the true MVPs of the A block? Do you think it was, Tsuji and Kid, or do you think it was War Dragons?
I think I'm going to lean War Dragons. They were just very hard hitting, very smash mouth. There was no no gagging, no story to tell. It's like, it was all about them just destroying people, hitting pumping bombers, hitting Drilla killers. Like, they were just a really awesome workhorse tag team.
Actually, let me ask you this, because we're going to get there in just a little bit. Is there any chance that Desperado and Shuji Ishikawa could give either of those teams a run for their money for MVP?
Yeah, I think you can put them up there with War Dragons for sure for the A block. So yeah, we can talk about those guys. We got Evil and Fale as well, but we can run through them real quick. So Evil and Fale Also 4-3 at 8 points, losing to Bishamon on night 9, defeating Desperado and Ishikawa on night 11, and then on night 13, losing to Bolton and Yano. So that was Bolton and Yano playing spoiler there. Bolton and Yano had already been eliminated going into the match, and had Evil and Fale won, they would have been advancing. But we had all kinds of shenanigans here. You had Yo running out to make the save for his tag team partners, and you had handcuffs, Evil getting handcuffed to the guardrail, and so all this stuff happening. And
Whiskey.
Yeah, the whiskey, and then you had Yano and Bolton doing the double pin to Fale to get the win. So, and again, the crowd kind of rejoicing there, seeing those guys be eliminated from the tournament. So yeah, I mean, Evil and Fale definitely not contenders for A block MVPs.
And this is kind of more of a minor talking point, but there was during one of the undercard tags the night prior to this, Show had come out and cut a promo, and they didn't translate it. I didn't bother to look up to see what he was talking about, but then Yo was involved in this match the next night. So I have to kind of assume that Show was probably positioning some variant of the House of Torture to be in that 6-man tag Rambo that's coming up. And I think that this match kind of played into that story. So don't be surprised if it's probably like Show, Fale, and who else do you think? Kanemaru?
Yeah, or Yujiro, one of these guys.
Yeah.
Dick Togo. I mean, Show was calling himself Dick Togo 2 throughout the tour. He came out with the garrote wire. And so, yeah, he was playing the role of Dick Togo on some of these nights here. But yeah, he had Yo, which finally somebody, decides to do what they were doing. Yo was pulling the ref out. Yo was, spinning the whiskey. So you had guys fighting with fire here and getting a win over the House of Torture. And then other team at 8 points, El Desperado and Tsuji Ishikawa. So losing to Gabe and Tsuji on night 9. They lost to House of Torture on night 11. And then on night 13, winning their last match against Chase and Yujiro Takahashi. So they were still alive going into the final night, and depending on how things shook out, they could have slid through to A2, but that didn't work out in their favor. But either way, like you were mentioning, Desperado and Ishikawa was definitely another highlight team of this tournament. I mean, Ishikawa was just a bruiser in this thing. His lariats, those kitchen sink knees were devastating. His driver finisher, like I mentioned earlier, when he did it to Gabe Kidd off the apron through the Japanese table, was nuts. And him like destroying Gabe with a chair as well. Like, this guy was just running all over the place in this tournament.
And he's only a fraction of what he used to be. But, there's always at points like this, people are like, oh, sign him, whatever. And then people are like, oh, no, the decorum of, loyalty and blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of fine either way. Like, but if somehow he did find his way on the Cerulean Blue mat, like, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Get him a nice little never title run.
Him and Big Jag, that's a tag team that I could get behind,
Them versus each other.
That's fine too, but I think Ishikawa, he thrives when he's got another big bruiser muscle guy as his tag team partner. So I would like that. But this team, they rocked, hats off to Desperado as well as Hiromu, just being two guys that primarily work as juniors, really holding their own and kind of thriving in this heavyweight environment. If this was a year ago, we'd be like, do you think that this is it? You think that maybe they're queuing them up? You think they're ready to give them the put, but they're not. It's not going to happen.
Fool me once.
Yeah. But it's nice. Nice little present. Thank you, Gato.
Yeah, but I do think it does kind of make them look dumb for not elevating these guys like they did so well in this heavyweight feel and got great reactions and were seen as stars. It's like you could be utilizing these guys as heavyweights all the time. Like, there's nothing left for them to do in the junior division. And I mean, besides, guys like Ishikawa and like Oscar, like, they don't look super small to the rest of the roster. They've both bulking up and a little bit more beefy than they were in their prime. So there's absolutely no reason at this point, besides their own, ignorance of not wanting to push and use Desperado and Hiromu as heavyweights.
Sizeism. It's more like heightism, but whatever.
Yeah. Another team here at 8 points. Toru Yano, Boltin Oleg, 2/3 of the never openweight 6-man champions. So night 9, defeating Chase and Yujiro. Night 11, losing to the War Dragons. Night 13, like we mentioned, playing spoiler and eliminating Don Fale and Evil.
I loved the strike exchanges between Oleg Boltin and Drilla Maloney.
Yes.
Like, Drilla was hanging in there with this dude. Yeah, I don't have much to say here. It's kind of what you'd expect. This was your classic Yano versus competent, pushed commodity guy in a tag league. They didn't do quite as well as maybe some of the other iterations, including this exact same team just a year ago, but still finished with 8 points. They're, right in the mix. And Oleg Boltin, he did his thing. Yano did his thing, and they finished with 8 points. So, what more can you say?
Yeah. Then the last two teams here that ended with 2 points, 1-6. We have Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens. Night 9, losing to Boltin and Yano. Night 11, they beat T100. And night 13, losing to Desperado and Ishikawa. So, it's the booking we pretty much wanted. They lost all but one match. Very frustrated that they had to beat Team 100. Could have given my boy Kojima a bone there. hit that lariat on Chase Owens, get a win, but no, they threw the powder out. Low blows, all that jazz, and they cheated my boy Kojima to get their one win in the tournament.
Here's one thing I will say, and I'm not a fan of these guys or anything like that, but I felt like they worked hard. They didn't mail it in. They didn't have blowaway matches, but I felt like, they could have been much worse than they actually were here, and they served their purpose. And there was a job to do. They did the job. It is what it is.
Yeah, and there was a running theme on commentary with some of the guys coming on that were making fun of Chase Owens' boots, saying that his boots were from China, not Texas-made boots, and making fun of the poncho. So yeah, they were burying that man.
As they should.
And then Team 100, Taichi Satoshi Kojima, 1-6, 2 points. Night 9, losing to the War Dragons. Night 11, losing to Chase and Yujiro. And night 13, losing to Gabe and Tsuji. So yeah, Taichi, Kojima, again, I think another team. I think they worked pretty hard. Again, Kojima coming in, filling in for Ishii. They had some enjoyable matches, and it always kind of came down to either a little bit of miscommunication or some shenanigans that caused a loss there. So yeah, it kind of stinks to see Taichi at the bottom of the block here. Maybe they would have done a little bit better with Ishii in the mix. But overall, I thought that they played their role in this tournament very well.
I didn't realize that this name Team 100 originates back from their Kojima-gun days, many, almost 20 years ago. But
I thought it was just from them adding their ages together.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, Taichi's 45 and Kojima's 55. So you add their age together, it's they're 100 together.
Okay, because so I was looking on Cage Match and it was listed Team 100. I don't know if they retconned it back to their previous tags from when they were in Kojima-gun, but I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't realize. So that's my bad. I was like, oh, I must have missed something because, back then it's you see some stuff, but you don't see everything. It's not like I was watching, the Kojima-gun, Road to, the Alive tour matches.
Yeah,
but it is still interesting to see these guys kind of come back together after several decades and sort of bury the hatchet. And I thought they worked pretty well together. We had the speculation going into the tournament. Would they inherit whatever potential booking they might have given to former champions Ishii and Taichi? And it doesn't seem to be the case, but also with Gato's booking, you never know. Maybe they did.
Right. Looking at this block, I don't see how Taichi and Ishii would have gotten any more points than Taichi and Kojima got.
Yeah, it would have been tough. So
yeah, I mean, unless you had them beat like Desperado Ichikawa maybe, or Bolton and Yano, and I don't know.
Do you think this is a situation where Ishii was like, I'm injured? he knew what was going to happen if he went back to Japan. He's like, travel up and down the roads in the middle of December.
Doing jobs.
Yeah, nah, bro.
Yeah, it's like, nah, my knee is messed up, man. Let's jump into the B block. So we do not have the B1 and B2 yet. We're going to find that out tomorrow as you're listening to this or today. So we'll start at the top of the B block, what we have so far. So right now we got United Empire and Great Okan and Callum Newman, 4-2 at 8 points. They are sitting on top of the block here with 8 points. Night 10, they defeated Ren Narita and Sonata, and then on night 12, defeating El Phantasmo and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I was very, I don't know, my spidey senses started going off in that moment during the night 10 match where Callum Newman had the guitar and almost accidentally hit Great Okan with the chair or with the guitar, but then stopped at the last second. And I was like, huh. Could that be a little tease? Maybe, I don't know. But if you notice, it wasn't Callum who picked up the win there. It was, Okan who was able to get his mitts on the guitar and use that and then hit the eliminator, or what's he called?
Yeah, eliminator.
Yeah. I always forget the names of these fucking moves to pick up the win for the team there. But then on night 12, Callum Newman again was able to get a victory for his team here, rolling up ELP, and he grabbed the tights. So another kind of cheap victory there. But this puts them firmly at the top of the block, and not just at the top of the block where they're tied with, because there are, Umino and Yumura both have 8 points as well. We're going to talk about them, but like they're at the top of the block with tiebreakers. They're like sitting very, very cushy, where the majority, we're going to talk about the scenarios here in a minute, but a majority of the scenarios lead to them getting into the playoffs as either 1 or 2, regardless of what happens on the final night, including with losses. Now, of course, they want to win, but like this is not a scenario I necessarily saw coming when we were previewing the blocks. I didn't think like Okan and Callum would be sitting as cushy as they are going into the final night.
Yeah, they're sitting in a really great spot, and I think a lot of people are wondering, what is the deal with United Empire? Where are they going with the story? And so I thought they told a great job of telling the story of Callum Newman being frustrated and turning heel and taking some shortcuts, and pulling the tights there on El Phantasmo, having Jacob Austin Young get involved in some of the matches as well, and just totally new attitude, new shift, and kind of this frustration starting to boil over. And I know we're speculating on, is he becoming the leader? Is he going to turn on the group and join a different group, start his own group? So also that's still to play, but it's been very intriguing. Finally something this year happening intriguing with United Empire.
He's in his Owen Hart. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. But yeah, I haven't necessarily been blown away by the work, but I do think that Okan and Newman are a competent tag team, and this is a positive move in the right direction, especially if you're like one of those fans. There are fans who are like big time. They like United Empire. They're bought in, and they kind of want to see the legacy of that group continue. I don't know what that even entails. If they'll stay, who knows? We could speculate till the cows come home, but something is clearly happening here one way or the other. And it's going to be interesting. Now, if they fall short on the final night and they end up not in the playoffs, I am wondering what that looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that leads to a full turn, and Callum, finally fully unleashes on Great Okan, no holding back this time, and kind of goes in a different direction.
There was a part of me where it was like, could he wind up in like House of Torture, let's say? But I'm like, do they need another guy in that fucking group? Like,
Oh man, yeah, that would be awful.
we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's where they're at.
Oh, the car from Carvana's here. Well, will you look at that? It's exactly what I ordered, like precisely. It would be crazy if there were any catches, but there aren't, right?
Right, because that's how car buying should be. With Carvana, you get the car you want. Choose delivery or pickup, and a week to love it or return it.
Buy your car today with
Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
So then the other team that's sitting on top of the block with 8 points, Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura, 4-2, night 10, defeating Finley and Hiromu Takahashi, night 12, defeating Ren, Narita, and Sonata. So much like Newman and Okan, these guys control their destiny. They win their last match. They have punched their ticket to the semifinals.
Yeah, it's really a question of where they end up in that block in terms of like the actual scenarios. Like, will they if they win, do they end up as number 1 or they end up as number 2? But if they lose, that's pretty much it for them, So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But this is a team that has one thing I also want to mention, it's kind of lost on people, but Callum Newman was already like tag champion this year.
That's right. Yeah, him and Jeff Cobb were champions before Cobb had to leave, vacate the titles, and never really got to have a full run with the titles.
Yeah, and then it certainly seems like if you are hoping and wanting for Umino and Uemura to do something of note come Tokyo Dome, you're hoping for one of two scenarios, either for these guys to win this tournament or end up in some sort of tag title scenario coming out of the tournament, however the cards shake, or you're wanting them to wind up facing one another in some sort of like Reiwa young generation type of match going into the Dome. It doesn't feel like that's where we're headed. It feels like this is a pretty unified team. They've really made their intentions well known that this is what they're planning to do. So who knows? Maybe Gato will just swerve us at the very end here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm feeling strong like these guys are going to advance to the semifinals and potentially win the whole thing. Yeah, they have not been teasing any signs of the dissension between the two. I mean, you did have the one thing where Umino was asking to lead Hantai from Tanahashi, and it looked like Tanahashi was kind of bowing towards Yuya, so maybe that's something they could potentially bring up. But right now, it seems like, yeah, they are a well-oiled machine, and I think they're one of the hardest working teams in this block. They've had some really solid matches throughout the tournament and have been a fun team to watch. And we've been saying this for a while now. Shota Umino excels in tag team wrestling. I think Yuya as well. And sometimes guys are just tag team wrestlers, and maybe they never break out of that. And hopefully for these two guys, they do become eventually single stars. But sometimes you excel in a tag team role, and both of these guys do, and they've worked really well together and worked really hard and have been a very compelling team to watch throughout this B block.
Yep, I agree. And I think that they are, who would you say? Do you think, who's your MVP? You got Umino and Uemura, or are you leaning more towards like TMDK? Because I feel like those are there are some other really good teams in this block as well, but I feel like for my money, those are probably the two biggest standout teams still.
Yeah, I could. It's honestly a coin flip for me. I could go those guys, or Oiwa and Zach, who were one of the MVPs last year in their block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean that really speaks to the quality of the matches that they're putting on, because, like you said, last year the TMDK team of Zach and Oiwa were the de facto, like they were the MVP of the whole tournament. Period. They were the best, and this is the best block we've seen in many years. And Umino and Uemura are one of the best tag teams that we've seen. And they've really raised their stock in my eyes through the course of this tournament.
Yeah.
It would, so much so to the point where it almost feels like it would be a shame if they did break them up at some point, fallout of this tournament, because it's like, they're really fucking good. And
yeah,
everyone always wants this, company to have a tag division, and they finally have like a good marketable young baby face like tag team that they could really push to some degree. And it could be one of those situations where they don't have to always be doing tag endeavors like it's in Koji's situation. They could still, or even like Techers, like they could still venture off and do singles things. But I think there's money in this tag team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And there's a story there with them and Knockout Brothers. You know, they already failed once to beat the Knockout Brothers, so this could build to a whole redemption angle, and maybe you have those guys be the ones to finally beat Knockout Brothers at the Dome. So now we're going to go into a set of teams that are at 6 points and that are still alive, and depending on how things shake out on the final night, could squeeze their way into the semifinals. So first we have Sonata and Ren Narita. They are 3-3 with 6 points. Night 10 losing to Callum and Great Okan, and night 12 losing to Umino and Uemura.
So that last match they had on night 12, a lot of people didn't receive that very well. I felt like that was the strongest match we've seen from Narita and Sonata during this tournament. But I haven't loved this team throughout the course of the tournament. Of all the House of Torture teams, I guess you could say this has been the best one, but that's not really saying much. At the same time, go ahead.
It sucks because in another era, like, you know, a LA Dojo Ren Narita and a LIJ Sonata probably would have been a killer tag team.
Yeah, and we sort of speculated that they may have even like turned back the clock a little bit for this one and given us some flashes of that, and it's been few and far between. The one good thing that's coming out of this, though, is like Sonata and Narita, they're alive, but their chance of like getting through is basically, it's not going to happen. Like they can only really get through in very impossible tag breaker scenarios. So these losses that they took on the last couple nights to United Empire and Umino and Uemura really set them back, because they were in position to be in a good spot going into the final night, and those two losses just decimated their chances.
Good. Yeah, I really don't want to see these guys advance to semifinals. Like you said, they've been okay, but yeah, they've just leaned too much into the, you know, guitar shots and all, you know, push-up bars and distractions to have any semblance of an entertaining matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, on the one hand is like you and I, we talked about how like so often they do tend to put House of Torture teams through into the tournament finals, and I guess that situation does still technically exist here, but it's so unlikely. Like it's really, really, and you know, I even was looking at it and I was like, until I started looking at the scenarios that exist, I sort of still anticipated them potentially being one of the teams that went through, just based on the fact that none of the other House of Torture teams went through. I'm like, oh, well, we might be looking at Sonata and Narita, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Gato was like, all right, I gave you guys Evil in the G1 finals. I'll give you a break. I won't put any of these guys through in World Tag League. Well, the other team that's at 6 points, the current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice. So 3-3, 6 points on night 10. They defeated Ray Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr. Night 12. They lost to Monster Sauce, Alex Zane, and Lance Archer. So overall, I feel like Knockout Brothers have had a pretty good tournament. I don't think they've had any like tag team match of the year contenders or, you know, any super high level matchups. But I think that they've had some very good matches throughout the tournament. And I know there are a lot of people kind of concerned about them losing as much as they did. But like we talked about last week, I think you need to show a little bit of the kinks in the armor here. You need to establish some challengers for them going in to the Dome, going into the fall, or excuse me, the spring. So I think them eating losses here was fine, and you know they worked really well. I thought, you know, Yuto continues to get over with the crowd, and they're really digging his whole presentation, and so I think the Knockout Brothers have just been a success. You know, with the Monster Sauce loss, we had Zane and Archer, you know, holding up the titles post-match. Archer cutting a promo, talking about, you know, being the champions and they're gonna go forward in the semifinals, which was a little weird because it wasn't like the main event, and so it's very weird to kind of have a little angle after a match like that. So I'm wondering if somehow we're gonna get either like maybe Monster Sauce challenges Road to Tokyo Dome, or somehow Monster Sauce gets a part of this multi-man tag title match.
They could do the multi-man match thing, I guess. And as unprecedented as it normally would be, it feels like to me that they are probably going to do this on Road to Tokyo Dome. That's just what my gut is telling me. Partially because, I don't know. I like Alex Zane. I like Monster Sauce. But at the same time, it's like they're probably not doing this for like New Beginning. They're probably not doing this for New Year's Dash. I don't see them bringing those guys back into town. Maybe they're going to give them a dome date, but
maybe the U.S. show, maybe New Beginning U.S.
if they're still champions by then. But that seems like a weird thing to set up now for something so far in the future. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they're like showing their hand too much. Part of me feels like they're here. We already got them in town. We want to do these big send off Corkin shows for Tanahashi's, final date, whatever. Maybe we throw a little, IWGP tag title match on it.
Yeah. Which I think would be a lot of fun. So
I agree.
What do you think about the Knockout Brothers in this tournament?
I thought they've been very, very good. I know that there's been some, frustration with the slow start that they had and kind of coming from behind. And then even now, like losing to Monster Sauce seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. But I like when there are surprises and unexpected turns in tournaments like this. And, they're the champions. Like, this is part of what being a champion in a tournament entails. It means taking losses. You could argue that maybe this is too many for your liking, but I think that they've still had a very strong showing. I felt like they've gotten a lot of good reps in. I don't think that they've been the stand. In fact, they kind of remind me in a certain sense of what I said about, and it's kind of funny because this echoes what I said last week as well. They're kind of like the Bishamon of this division for the B block. Like, they haven't been having like knockout, drag out, stellar matches night after night, but they're having above 3.5 like star level matches. They're sort of like the anchor of the division in this group. And, I still feel like Yuto, Ice, and Oscar are finding themselves, kind of like finding their rhythm, but they're getting great reactions. They're having good matches. I feel like they're pretty much established at this point.
Yeah. I think that they're slowly becoming stars and becoming, a really great tag team act and becoming a team that they can depend on for the division. And so, they had two solid matches here. The Oil Saber match I thought was really good. And I thought the Monster Sauce match was very hard hitting. It was cool seeing Archer and Oscar mix it up. And the finish was a lot of fun with Archer doing the blackout on Oscar on top of Yuto Ice and to get the win there.
That's a believable near fall because it's like, fuck, he threw Oscar on him. Like, not going to survive that.
Yeah, and it's kind of a play on what Monster Sauce has been using for their finish, that the blackout sauce with Archer doing the blackout with Zayn onto the opponent. So Knockout Brothers thought they looked good, and we had some questions here. Let's question 7252. Do you think this feels like a good booking of KOB in this tag league with 3 wins and 3 losses as they are still fresh off of Excursion?
Well, I think it's going to depend on how things shake out on the final night, whether it's going to be, okay, they take another loss. Now they're 3-4 to close out the tournament. That's not so great. Or if it's a situation where it's like they win their final match and then it's a question of mathematically, are they getting into the playoffs or not based on tiebreakers? And I'm leaning towards they're probably going to get that final win. They're going to finish with 8 points, which in this block, that's pretty strong because it's been a pretty parity based, block as a whole.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're going to get to 8 points. And again, I think it's fine that they had 3 losses. Like I was saying earlier, you got to set up some challengers for them, and it's their role in the tournament. And honestly, they have been booked pretty well coming back from Excursion, because we've seen with a lot of these Reiwa guys, they come back from Excursion and they're still kind of treated like a pseudo young lion. They're still eating a lot of losses and being singles matches. Like they're kind of, relegated to opening stuff. Like they don't get the full on push. Besides maybe like Tsuji, a lot of guys, when Umino and Uemura and all these guys kind of came back, they weren't given a hard, strong push. And so, Knockout Brothers, they got the titles. They've been in some big spots and some big moments. So yeah, they ate 3 losses here, but I think they're doing better off than some of the other guys who have come back from Excursion and who were kind of, lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And he also asked, does anyone find it hilarious that the teams that defeated KOB are eliminated, as KOB are still in the tournament with the other teams that they defeated?
It is interesting because the 3 teams that have beaten them, it was Finley and Hiromu, which is one of those unaffiliated War Dog teams that we talked about how they weren't on the same page from the very get-go, but it's really deteriorated as we've come down the stretch. So it feels like that's just out the books. Like there's no way they're ever going to probably get a tag title match for that one. Narita and Sonata, that is a team you could still see eventually getting a shot at the titles. And like we mentioned earlier, they're actually technically still alive, but they're basically dead. But Archer and Zayn, even though they're also eliminated, that's a very believable, very fun tag team. And they're with them teasing it at the end of that match, they're probably going to get title shots. So I don't know. I feel like that's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not like trying to be apologetic for, if Gato has bad booking, I'll say it, but, I could definitely see where some people would be upset about this. They expect them to be more dominant, right out the gate, but they're young champions. It's their first World Tag League ever. And the only thing that I could maybe potentially criticize about this is if you're thinking like, okay, they're going to have a very continued lengthy title run beyond the Tokyo Dome and you want to set up new challengers. Why aren't they losing to somewhat more established teams? But, I think we did talk about this when we first previewed it. There's not that many truly fully established teams in this block as it is. There are a lot of kind of thrown together tag teams already. So I had to do the job to somebody. I feel like this isn't the worst booking in the world, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's been fine. And I would be fine with them doing the Monster Sauce rematch. I know Finley and Hiromu probably won't get a title match, but I mean, you could do that. Finley did say on commentary, it's very important to beat the champions in a tournament like this. So again, maybe they can potentially do a title match with them, and you maybe you have the final breakup of Finley and Hiromu in a match like that. But yeah, I think it's been fine, and I think the Knockout Brothers are doing well. So next team that's sitting at 6 points, we got Zack Sabre Jr. and Ryuhei Oiwa. Night 10, losing to the Knockout Brothers. Night 12, coming back with a win over Finley and Hiromu.
Yeah, so this is a team that is just, they're stellar in ring. They always stand out, but it doesn't seem that the company is gung-ho to tie Zack and Oiwa together as like a formal tag team moving forward. Like they're fine to have them in tag leagues, but they don't seem to have the creative ambition to put them into the tag division long term. And so they always perform really well, but they always tend to be sort of like middle of the road, middle of the pack. I think that with as much questions as everybody has about what the Tokyo Dome show layout really looks like going into this tournament, we just really weren't sure. It almost felt like, well, maybe Zack and Oiwa, especially if they wanted to do something to kind of push Oiwa, maybe they would have a good chance here, but we're coming down the stretch and they are alive, and there are definitely scenarios where they can make it into the playoffs, but they need certain things to happen. Even if they make it into the playoffs, I don't see this being a team that is going to contend for the titles going into I could be wrong there, but I don't see them being a team that's going to contend for the titles going into the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to get Zack on the card in a non-singles capacity, I could see them wanting to go that direction. But yeah, like you're saying, it doesn't seem like, unlike, Umino and Yuya, it seems like they're more set on those guys being a tag team, being in this division, where as far as like Oiwa, I don't think that this is where they see him, and I don't think that they are going to go full on with Zach and Oiwa as a team, and I think they're probably going to want at least Zach in some kind of singles match in the Tokyo Dome. So yeah, I mean, again, they're still alive here. They could get to 8 points, and I don't know how the tiebreakers will all play out, but
well, luckily I have a scenario tracker. Someone did God's work over at Reddit. So
nice.
We'll give them some credit, but yeah.
Then another team at 6 points. We got Monster Sauce, Lance Archer, Alex Zane. They lost to ELP and Tanahashi on night 10. And then night 12 came back defeating the Knockout Brothers. Again, I think Monster Sauce just rules. We've been singing their praises. They're such a fun tag team to watch.
Yeah, they're great. And, there's that old adage, you don't have to necessarily win the tournament. It's almost just as important just to beat the champions. And they beat the champions, and they're an imposing force. And, they're also alive, but the chances of them getting into the finals they're in a similar situation to Sonata and Narita, where it's like they need the right tiebreakers to play out, and it's just probably not going to happen. So it doesn't really matter at this point because they've locked themselves up into a title contendership situation anyways.
Yeah, they shot their shot with the post-match promo. And this is the second time, because in the 23 tag league, they defeated the champions in that tournament as well. And they did not get a title shot, and Archer has brought that up on commentary. So
it's true. Yeah,
so it seems like they are going to get a title match here. And yeah, they've been fun to watch. I think they've both worked super hard, like we mentioned. I feel like Archer comes alive in Japan. Both guys have been great on commentary. Zane's been doing his cool flippy stuff in the Knockout Brothers. He did that cool corner post tope onto Oscar. That was awesome. And so yeah, they have gelled really well together. Fun tag team, fun combos. Love the Blackout Sauce finisher. And we'll see how the tiebreakers play out for these guys going into the final block night. And then the last few teams here, we got David Finlay and Hiromu Takahashi, who are sitting at 2 and 4 at 4 points. They are mathematically eliminated from the tournament. In night 10, they lost to Umino and Uemura. Night 12, losing to Oiwa and Zach. And it's pretty much what we said from night 1. These guys have just not been able to fully gel together. It's Finlay just continues to throw around Hiromu, powerbomb him onto people, throw him onto people, and not wanting to really share the points and kind of be the leader of the team. And so that's kind of backfired, especially in their last match where Finlay was trying to throw Hiromu into the corner onto Zach. Zach moves. He ends up, eating a buckle bomb. So just a total breakdown of communication and not working well here has caused Finlay and Hiromu to get that 4 points.
Yeah, that mistimed buckle bomb spot has happened a couple times in the tour, including preview tags. So it's sort of like they didn't learn from their mistake. I sort of have this theory that because of the Super Junior Tag League, when Hiromu was kind of ruffling Gato's feathers and making him do Superfly splashes and shit like that, behind closed doors, he was like, all right, you need to get this motherfucker. Secretly, we all know that Thug Gato is back, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think he might have put out the hit on Hiromu. He's like, you're gonna fucking embarrass me. First, he was pulling on my beard before we all joined up together. Then he was making me do Superflies. You get this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't care about you winning World Tag League. Like you just
we know the money's not in the tag teams, all right?
Oh man.
But I do kind of think that this team was similar in a sense to Ishikawa and Desperado, not just because it was a power guy and a junior teaming together, but like they had great matches, even though they weren't on the same page. Like they really, if this team was in the A block, they would have been one of the best performing teams in the A block. They just happened to be in the B block where everybody tended to be great in this tournament. But yeah, they were a lot of fun. I was very entertained with, all the shenanigans. I thought Dave Finlay on commentary on the final A block night was very interesting. Just talking about sort of like the business decision to align with War Dogs, and that there's a little bit of a breadcrumb there because he's talking about it being a business decision. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, they're done. And this is a team where it's like, I guess you could have seen it playing out this way, but given the fact of how big names these two guys are, you also could have envisioned a scenario where they do go far in the tournament. So it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this was a throwaway line or not, but something I found interesting on commentary, Walker was like, kept saying like, Bullet Club War Dogs, and Finley said, just call us War Dogs. I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Maybe Tony Khan has bought the name to the Bullet Club.
Maybe. And then the last team here, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and the NJPW World TV Champion, El Phantasmo, 2-4, 4 points, night 10. They defeated Monster Sauce, night 12, losing to Callum Newman, Great Okan, of Callum pulling the tights there on ELP.
That's that loss. I mean, they were sort of just playing spoilers up to this point anyways, but that loss really set up United Empire. So if United Empire gets through and you're not a Callum Newman or a Great Okan fan, you need to blame ELP. This is his fault. This is his doing. I mean, who gets beat with a handful of tights roll up? This is not 1986. You know what I'm saying? Like, but no, I thought they were fun for what it was. And I really enjoyed the night 10 match with them defeating Monster Sauce and all the history that exists between Lance Archer and Tanahashi going back many, many, many years, many G1 matches, title matches, and him and Alex Zane like sort of paying their final respects and giving thanks to Tanahashi. So that wraps up pretty well. They've got one more match coming up, but we're at the tail end of Tanahashi's final tournament ever in his entire career. And dare I say, it's probably going to close better than his final G1 did. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought they worked hard. I forgot which match it was. It might have been the Monster Sauce match. This man, Tanahashi, does the freaking high fly flow to the outside.
Yeah.
I think it goes to Archer. I was like, what are you doing? Like, save that for the dome.
Here's one thing that I thought has been weird lately, and it's not just on this tour, like throughout the course of this year, Walker Stewart has resorted to calling the high fly flow the high fly attack, because I do believe that like in the actual translation of the name of the move, it is technically the high fly attack, but it's not like when you listen to Japanese commentary that they go high fly attack. No, they always for the entire history of that move's existence called it high fly flow.
Well, I think he calls like the standing version, like when the guy's standing. That I think that's a high fly attack.
And see, like I'm a traditionalist. I like Kevin Kelly calling that the ace is high.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's not actually the ace is high or whatever, or if maybe it is the high fly attack. I don't care. I like high fly flow. It's all high fly flow to me. The one to the back, the one to the outside, the one to the chest, all of it is all high fly flow to me.
Yeah, I was blown when that man did that. I'm like, bro, this is night 10 in a World Tag League. You have a sold out Tokyo Dome. Save what little niche you have left. Because that man that's like slid off Archer and hit the floor hard. I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
He felt safe because he thought he had one of the best bases in the entire world.
He's like, yeah, Archer will catch me.
Little did he know that man was going to pull a Miz that night,
Archer been around FTR for too much. Oh, man. So they're out. I mean, ELP ate a lot of pins in this tournament, so we'll probably see a TV title match set up for the Dome.
Who the fuck knows who? It's like that time. Remember that time when I'll always think of this like
Juice.
Yeah. Juice wins he wins the US title, which at the time was a big title, Kenny Omega held it and made it almost as prestigious as the IC and the IWGP. And then he drops it to Jay White, and Jay White is carrying it as a top prize. And then he finally drops it in the Cow Palace to Juice. And everyone's like, oh, this is it. Juice is like on his way up. He goes into that G1 and he gets his ass beat night after night after night. This man wound up with like 2, maybe 3 wins. He had a losing record. And we're like, which one of these guys, because there are so many, we're like, which of these 6 dudes that has beaten Juice is going to get the title shot? And then at the end, it's none of them. Cody just shows up and fresh off of All In, fresh off of winning the NWA title, you know, challenges that man and just takes his belt. And I was like, this is one of the most disastrous like title runs ever.
that was bad.
It was so bad. Ugh.
Oh man.
So, and I mean, ELP's not in much better, you know, position right now. I mean, this title has not ever reached the same heights as the red belt was back in the day, but like, bro, he's gone like to time limit draw with a bunch of people. He's eaten losses. He dropped the title to Okan of all people and got it back. Now he's the pin eater for Tanahashi in his final tournament as a champion. And we have no, why are you laughing, bro?
That's funny.
Now he's, and we're not even one of these, you know, there's some podcasts that are super down on. I love
ELP. I think ELP is awesome.
ELP's great. I really don't know why they're doing this man this way. But yeah, he's going into the Tokyo Dome as a title holder. I don't even know if he's going to defend that belt. He might he might be defending it like on Dash. He might be in the main event of Dash. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man. Well,
and that's the big question. Which one of these guys that has pinned him in this tournament is going to get a title? If anything, it might be like Cal Newman, you know?
I mean, maybe, depending on how that thing shake out with him and Okan. I think then Zach pinned him. I mean, if you want a singles match for Zach.
White man belt.
Yeah. Get some white man on the card. So a couple questions here, and then we'll go into the B block final night predictions. So Def Triangle 720 says, with the tag league coming to a close and unaffiliated War Dog teams are closing to an end, do you think by January 5th we see a clearer change in the factions, Drilla and Shingo stay together while the rest split apart?
Yes, I think we're going to come to some sort of conclusion by January 5th, and I don't think that we're going to see Drilla and Shingo stay together. I think this is a situational tag team. As much as they have been cohesive and people have enjoyed them, those are 2 guys that are both poised for, as well, maybe more so Drilla than anything. I think Drilla's got singles aspirations, you know, written all over him. So I don't see a reason to keep this team together, especially since I think that they're going to split these 2 teams apart. They technically are 2 different teams.
Yeah, and I think with you know, Gabe and Shingo or Gabe and Tsuji having issues in their team, and Finley and Hiromu, I do think that come New Year's Dash, and who knows, maybe in Wrestle Kingdom we're going to see something that forces a split between War Dogs and unaffiliated. He also asks, what would you prefer, a regular tag team or multi-man tag at Wrestle Kingdom?
In this particular specific situation, and this is rare for me, I would prefer a multi-man tag.
Yeah, I think in most normal situations, you would want a straight up, you know, 2 versus 2 top tag teams going on. But I think the state of the card and needing to get people on the card, I think doing a multi-man is probably the best thing here.
I don't think whatever it ends up being, they're going to get more than 15 at most, and that might be generous. It's probably going to be closer to like 11 or 12. So let's have a really fun multi-man tag team match, and that also kind of gives them the out to you know, protect some people. And I'm also thinking of it the other way, right? The more people that can be involved in multi-man tag team matches, the less likely they will be to be thrown into the 6-man tag Rambo, which you do have to think of it in those terms. Like, do you want to see Reiwa guys working the Rambo, or do you want to see them in a, you know, triple threat, you know, or 3-way tag, whatever?
Yeah. And then Let's Commission 7252 says, who needs this tag tournament win more, as we're down to the end of the tag league, I would say Umino and Uemura, as I don't know what direction they go with them at the Dome if they don't challenge for the tag belts or in a big-time singles match for one another.
I would agree with that. I think that they are probably the two guys most desperately in need of something big going into the Dome, and so this is probably the best way for them to kind of secure a spot.
Yeah, and I think that could be a cool moment for them, winning the tag titles in a sold-out Tokyo Dome. Like you said, you kind of create this hot bayface tag team act, and you push them as a tag team. You can probably even main event some Corkins and some smaller shows with them on top as tag team champions defending the titles. And so I think it could be a good vehicle for them to be pushed going into 2026.
I reserve the right to change my opinion later, but as of right now, I still believe, I think that KOB are going to retain their titles in the Dome.
All right.
I think that they dropped those titles in February to set themselves up for singles runs in the New Japan Cup.
Nice. Well, we got the final B block night coming Tuesday, December 9th. So probably as most of you are listening to this on your devices, we got the final four B block matches. So we'll have ELP and Tanahashi taking on Ren Narita and Sonata. So remember, ELP and Tanahashi, they're eliminated. They're at 4. Narita and Sonata are at 6 points and need to win to find a way for the math to math.
Yeah, so basically, like, if they were to win Sonata and Narita, there are 3 different scenarios that they could wind up as the number 2 team. And in all of those scenarios, it's a 3-way tie situation.
Which they're not doing.
Right. No, I'm sorry. 2 of them are 3-way ties. One of them is a 2-way tie with the Knockout Brothers. It's just so highly, highly unlikely. So I think probably for simplicity's sake, we will probably see Tanahashi and ELP win that night.
Yeah, I think you give Tanahashi a win in his last ever tournament ever. A good feel-good moment. And then both teams end at 6, and then you don't have Tanahashi and ELP be completely at the bottom of the block.
I mean, in the same token, let me give you a quick rundown of what would need to happen for them to even be qualified. They would need to win their matches. TMDK, in every scenario, TMDK has to win their matches. And then they would need either Finley and Hiromu to win in 2 of those situations, or UE. And then they would need Knockout Brothers to win in 2 of those situations, and Umino and Umura to win in 1 of those situations. So it's just very, very, very convoluted. And they would wind up in a 2-way tie with Knockout Brothers in 1 of the situations, or a 3-way tie with UE and TMDK. So I don't know. I just feel like even if they did win, they need a very specific thing to take place. They're probably just going to go the simplest way there and have, the Ace and ELP beat them.
Yeah, I think that's I think the right call to go. And yeah, you give Tanahashi a nice last tournament win there. So the next up, we got Dave Finley and Hiromu versus Callum Newman, Great Okan. So a similar situation here. Finley and Hiromu, they're out. They're at 4. And then you have Newman and Okan, who control their destiny. If they get a win here, they're locking in a semifinal spot.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting matchup because Finley and Hiromu are just completely eliminated. And it is a situation where United Empire, they're in the cushiest spot of any team in the entire tournament. So basically, if they win, they go into the playoffs as number 1 no matter what happens, period. But if they lose, they are still going into the playoffs, possibly even still as number 1, depending on how the math works out. The only situation that could take place that would knock them out is they lose, and then TMDK and Tanahashi and ELP win. And I think that is a possible scenario. It's not the most likely one, but we've already kind of talked about how we sort of feel like Tanahashi and ELP are likely to beat Sonata and Narita. And then you've got TMDK taking on they're taking on Monster Sauce, who are also already kind of eliminated, but can only get through on tiebreakers. And for them to get through on tiebreakers, it's a similar situation to Narita and Sonata, where it's like, it's so unlikely. You know what I mean? Basically, if my dog's going crazy, if TMDK were to win, they would probably need to like be the ones going through at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like it's another upset special here. And you think Cal Newman and O'Connor is going to slide their way to the finals, and you think, well, the way that Hiromu and Finley have been working together, like they're not going to win, and then they do pull up the upset, and then again they end with 6, and so they're just not completely bombing the tournament, and they'll end with 6 with House of Torture and ELP and Tanahashi.
We've seen some G1s finish in a similar situation where it's like math dictates who's going through and everything like that. And people aren't always in love with that sort of thing. They want the sort of clearest route, the most simple thing to take place. But we've kind of talked about the pros and cons in the past on this show of both of those approaches, where it's like, well, sometimes having these kind of complex situations can continue to lend anticipation and excitement throughout the entirety of the card, instead of just having like 2 or 3 matches that don't mean anything. But it also doesn't lend itself to having like the big match at the end that you want to see. The one thing that does kind of give me pause when it comes to United Empire and them just being a foregone conclusion is the fact that they're the second match of the 4 block matches. Like if they were in one of the last 2 matches, I'd feel a little more confident about their chances of getting through. Mm-hmm. And mathematically, they have great chances of getting through. But like, I think that those 2 losses that could be taking place, they're not implausible.
Yeah, and I don't know if the match order is finalized yet, because on the New Japan site and Cage Match, they only have the 4 tournament matches listed. They don't have the undercard listed yet, so I'm not quite sure if this is the order. It kind of looks like it makes sense, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the final order or not. But yeah, I think that Finley and Hiromu are going to get the win here. That puts them at 6. That leaves United Empire at 8. And then you have ELP, Tanahashi, and Narita and Sonata all at 6.
Sorry, I had to step away. My dog's going crazy.
All good. So then Monster Sauce and TMDK. So Monster Sauce sitting at 6, TMDK sitting at 6. Both teams need a win here to stay alive.
If Monster Sauce wins, there are scenarios where they could go through, but they're pretty convoluted. If TMDK wins, they go through unless United Empire has already won.
Okay.
So do you see what I'm saying there? Like,
yeah,
the fact that this match is after that makes it feel more to me like if TMDK wins, they're going to they're going to knock out United Empire, and the fact it's taking place afterwards, I think to me it's telling me that what we might be seeing here is I think we might see Tanahashi and ELP knock out House of Torture. I think that we might see United Empire slip on a banana peel, and then TMDK at that point, they're still alive. Because if United Empire wins, they're dead. It's done. Mm-hmm. And this other team, Monster Sauce, they don't have there's no scenario that actually works out where they can get through unless it's on like crazy tiebreakers. So I think that what's got to happen here is TMDK is going to beat Monster Sauce, and then they're through. And then United Empire's been mathematically eliminated when they started the evening as the strongest team.
Yeah, I like how that sounds. And I think getting Zack and Oiwa in the semifinals is a good call there. And then the last matchup, Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura versus the Knockout Brothers. So Umino and Uemura are at 8, win and they're in. Knockout Brother are at 6. So, Josh, what happens if Knockout Brothers win and get to 8?
So it's really simple. If Umino and Umura win, they're through, period. And if Knockout Brothers win, they're through, period, except unless this one very specific situation happens. If they win their match, but Sonata and Narita, Monster Sauce, and United Empire all won their matches.
Gotcha.
And if you think about it, those two things are the things that United Empire needs to have happen in order for them to go through. In the situation where, like, let's say if United Empire has in fact lost their match, they would need Sonata and Narita and Monster Sauce to both have won for them to still like go through and sort of like maintain their, or at least they need one of those two things to have happened. So it feels to me like what we're going to see here is Monster Sauce Knockout Brothers versus Umino and Umura as the win and you're in situation. But that's a tough call because you and I we were talking about like, yeah, if Knockout Brothers lose, they're finishing the tournament with like a losing record, and maybe that's not the best way to go about things. But we also said it feels like Umino and Umura sort of need the spot more than any other team in the tournament. So they really created a high stakes situation going into the finals here.
Yeah, this is very hard to predict, but I don't know. I'm leaning more towards Umino and Uemura winning, and I know, yes, that does put Knockout Brothers at 3 and 4, but again, it's their first World Tag League. You're setting up a bunch of challengers for them. They're still a champion. I think they could rebound from having, not the strongest point-wise first World Tag League, and then that would give you Umino and Uemura as your B1, and that would give us TMDK as your B2. So in that scenario, you set up what I called from the beginning. You get TMDK versus Bishamon, so you continue the Zach Goto story on one end of the block.
So in this situation, we're basically saying Tanahashi and ELP win, TMDK wins, Finley and Hiromu win, and then Umino and Umura win.
Yeah.
That would set up Umino and Umura as number 1 and Team DK as number 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So TMDK is B2 facing the A1, which is Bishamon, which you get the Goto Zach story continued, like I mentioned in the preview. And then your B2 would be, or B1 would be Umino and Uemura, and then they would be going against Tsuji and Gabe Kidd.
That's a lot of Reiwa guys.
Yeah, and we know the history between a lot of those guys there, so I think that sounds like your semifinals right there.
Okay, there's another situation, though, where if the exact same situation plays itself out, you get Knockout Brothers and TMDK. Knockout Brothers number 1, TMDK number 2. Knockout Brothers go on to face Tsuji and Gabe Kidd, and then you still get TMDK versus Bishamon. That's another thing that could happen there.
Yeah.
The other thing that is still on the table is United Empire finishing as number 1 or number 2. And in those situations, what that usually looks like is in most of the situations, it's them finishing with Umino and Uemura as either number 1 or number 2. In almost all the situations, there's only one. And that's like a lot of the scenarios is UE and Umino and Uemura finish. There's 16 scenarios, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those scenarios, which are clean scenarios. That's who could potentially get through is those two teams. And there are, let me see here. There's 7 what I call dirty scenarios, like the ones that you are not going to happen because they're because it's going to involve too many crazy math tiebreakers. So that really only leaves 3 other situations where it's not United Empire and Umino Uemura.
Yeah.
Where they're clean. And that's basically Knockout Brothers and United Empire, or these 2 TMDK situations that we're predicting. And these are the least likely of the straight through, like everything kind of has to play out cleanly. But I think when we sort of like look at how the situation and kind of understand the booking, I think it's going to play out this way. I think we are probably going to end up with Umino, Nimura, and TMDK as the final two teams. And if the card wasn't situated the way it was, I wouldn't be feeling this way.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, I think you might have been off camera. I'm not sure if this is the final order or not, because on Cage Match and on the New Japan site, they only have the 4 matches listed. They don't have the undercard listed. And usually when they do that, the order is not set. However, though, looking at the flow does make sense for the card order of the last 4 matches. So I don't know if that's going to be final or not.
Well, here's what I will say. If I were gambling, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being ELP and Tanahashi versus House of Torture as the first match. Then you get Monster Sauce and TMDK as the second match. And TMDK wins that match. And now you have a situation where it's like United Empire has to win their match to basically get through. Otherwise, if they don't, now they're in a high stakes situation where they could, if they lose to Finlay and Hiromu, they're out basically. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that makes more sense to me for them being second from the top and sort of having their position threatened. But one thing that they like to do is those teams that are the lowest performing, they do like to have them towards the bottom of the card, and Finlay and Hiromu are like one of the bottom performing teams in the block.
Yeah. I'm checking Twitter right now to see if they tweeted out anything about the match order, and they have not yet. So,
yeah, very interesting. I guess we'll have more information, but I'm pretty sure ELP Tanahashi versus House of Torture is going to be the opener, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Even though it is like Tanahashi's last time in like Fukuoka. So who knows? Maybe they do put him higher up. That just seems like that's probably going to be the opener. And Knockout Brothers versus Yumura and Umino, that's definitely going to be the main event. So it's really a question of how do they slot these other 2 matches in the middle of that portion of the card. And it is going to have big ramifications on how they order it.
Yeah.
Because I might change my prediction if it's the other way around.
Yeah. So, I guess we won't. Yeah, by the time we get off, they'll probably put out the updated card order. But I don't know.
Here's what I mean by that. If TMDK is alive, if they are going on after the United Empire match, then the only way that they still are technically alive is with the United Empire loss. So that loss has to have already been established. So that would be the telltale. If United Empire is in the second tournament match of the night, they're definitely losing, period. But because otherwise the TMDK match is for nothing. It doesn't make it, nothing is on the line there anymore. Mm-hmm. But if TMDK is the second match of the night, then there's a lot more wiggle room for United Empire's fate. But again, like I said earlier, there are 16 scenarios. 7 of them are dirty. So you basically have 9 clean scenarios, and 6 of those involve some variation of United Empire and Umino and Uemura going through.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm feeling pretty strong about TMDK and Yuya and Chota going through and being a B1, B2. And then I like that TMDK versus Bishamon. You get Gabe and Tsuji versus Umino and Uemura. And from there, I think also Gabe and Tsuji got to lose. So you have Umino and Uemura beat them. And then I would have Bishamon beat TMDK. Then you tease Bishamon winning their 4th. And then you have Umino and Uemura beat them. You kind of pass the tag team torch, and Umino and Uemura win World Tag League.
Well, we'll talk about those semifinals and final scenarios here in a moment, but let me just give another just real quick brief summary of how this all plays out again, just for those who maybe weren't paying attention. If United Empire wins, they go to the playoffs. If Umino and Umora win, they go to the playoffs. If Knockout Brothers win, they go to the playoffs unless there's this specific situation where Sonata, Narita, Monster Sauce, and UE have all won their matches. Then they're eliminated. If TMDK wins, they go through only if United Empire has already lost or loses that evening. And the other two teams that are alive, Monster Sauce and House of Torture, they can only qualify in either a 2 or 3-way tie for second place, which is basically not going to happen. So that's, and also thanks, we didn't get their permission, but it's public information. Marco Talon from the NJPW Reddit, he is listed as Stats Nerd. He was the one that compiled this information. I found it very useful. So thank you for that. Now, with that being said, I think you and I were on the same page here. So we are predicting, as of right now, we're calling it. We're here in the war room. It's going to be Goto. It's going to be Bishamon versus TMDK. And then this Hantai team of Umora and Umino versus unaffiliated War Dogs, Gabe and Suji. So how do we see those playing out? Where do we think we're going over the course of this next week?
Yeah, and just to get the dates out there, so there'll be one semifinal match on Wednesday, December 10th, and another semifinal match on Friday, December 12th, and then the finals are Sunday, December 14th. So like I said, I think that TMDK is going to lose to Bishamon.
And you think Bishamon is going to beat them?
Yeah. And then I think that Umino and Uemura are going to beat Suji and Gabe Kid.
Yeah, I think, because, let's think about it. Suji and Gabe Kid, is there any situation where they go through and the match makes sense?
I feel like if they go through, TMDK needs to go through.
Yeah, because them versus Bishamon again doesn't really make a lot of sense. Them versus, I guess they could do them. Well, no, because we're predicting them against Umino and
Uemura, yeah,
and Uemura. So then, yeah, it would have to be TMDK. I don't know. I don't love that final necessarily. There is some history there with like Suji and Zach and Kid and everything, but I think they're probably not going through. So at that point, if we're assuming Umino and Umora are definitely locking up that spot, then really it's a question of, are we looking at an all B block final, TMDK versus Hantai, or are we going to see, Bishamon go through and then it's an all Hantai final, to kind of determine who the challengers for the titles are.
Yeah, I think there's more juice to Umino and Uemura versus Bishamon. Again, you tease Bishamon going for the 4th World Tag League win. And then you have Umura and Umino beat Bishamon, big upset, kind of passing the torch moment. Tanahashi gave Hantai to Goto kind of in interim, and Umino wants it. So you could easily have Umino or Uemura, one of those guys, pin Goto. And it's like, all right, Hantai is being transferred over to one of these guys. One of them wants it, but the other one got the win. So even though they win the tag league, you still kind of build tension between them because one of them gets to pin Goto while the other didn't.
With all that being said, right, and I agree with you, I think what we're looking at here is most likely Umino and Umura walking out as the World Tag League winners this year. And I think in most scenarios, they are favored to basically be one of the team in almost every scenario. They're one of the teams that are going to qualify. Is there any chance that we would think that either TMDK or Knockout Brothers or United Empire actually have a shot at winning this tournament in the first place, if they even were to qualify and go through? Because I kind of don't. Yeah,
I think TMDK, there's a slight chance, again, because we just don't know what Zach's doing at the Dome. And if they have nothing else planned for him, the tag title match could be good. So I think there's a small chance there, but yeah, I don't really see it. I feel like there's something's going to happen with Newman and Ocon kind of splitting. And then what was the other team you said?
Knockout Brothers.
Yeah, at this point, I don't really see the value of them going through. Because if they win, then they're in that B1 slot, right?
Basically, yeah. Well, they could go. There is a scenario where them and United Empire could be literally tied. So a 2-way tie and then they'd have to figure out a way to split the difference and figure out who's number 1 and number 2. But yeah, the only really clean situation that Knockout Brothers have is them as number 1 and TMDK as number 2.
So in that scenario, you would then have Knockout Brothers versus Gabe and Suji, and they
beat them,
which is like them
versus Bishamon's probably the final at that point, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like that as much as like Yuya and Umino versus Bishamon.
Yeah, just looking at the math, like to me, we pretty much convinced ourselves. I think the only final that makes sense really coming out of all of this is going to be Umino and Umura versus Bishamon.
Yeah.
Great. So we've worked it out. So next week, you'll know if we're right or not.
Well, that's going to do it for World Tag League coverage for this week. And I didn't really see any other big New Japan related news items to talk about for the news section. So there's one other question here from Def Triangle 720, and we'll wrap up. He says, do you think it's somewhat a blessing New Japan doesn't have money for the Good Brothers to come in?
They might have money for them to come in, but they're not getting that money. So,
is there not a chance that with them being in Japan, they work both?
Bro, is there not a chance that Knockout Brothers win the entire fucking thing and then like we have no challengers?
Devil in the distance.
I don't know what the word. I still don't know the words. I'm never gonna learn the words. All I know is the first opening line is like the devil, and then I don't know what, and then it's just growls.
Man, brothers versus brothers, Good Brothers versus Knockout Brothers.
Bro, that's a story that writes itself right there, brother. So
yeah. Former Bullet Club versus current Bullet Club. Oh boy.
Well, we have wrapped this up in a tidy 2-hour type format this week, but before we go, again, I don't know when we're gonna have the Pay Hip live. I'm hoping tomorrow.
Yeah, I need to listening to this. Yeah, it's giving me some issues today, so I'm gonna try again tomorrow, get in there, and hopefully get that set up.
But trust me, you guys are gonna want to have 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern time slotted away, 3 hours. Grab yourself a drink, open up a cold one, hang out with your boys, and we'll see what kind of shenanigans we get into on Saturday. Let me just say this is like last year, through no fault of my own, of course, I happened to take a little teensy tiny tumble as I was coming into the house. Not entirely all. I had too many things in my hand at one time. My balance was off, but I hit my elbow on the ground. It's been a year. My elbow still hurts.
Oh man, one heck of a bump.
Yeah, so I'm carrying battle wounds from last year's FOH. So we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, tune in for that. Be on the lookout for awards. Check out the Podcasting Summit merchandise, and let us know if you'll be there. Want to say hi and meet up with everybody that we possibly can while we're in Japan. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. Next week, we'll be back to review the finals of the World Tag League, cover all this news. Remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, at Jeremy L. Donovan, at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/socialsuplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at thesocialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, One Nation Radio, with Rich Latta and James Boyd, all things elite with Floyd and Austin, Imps AEW Adventure with MK's Matthew Mayer, Wrestling Art with Chris Slings, Tunnel Talk with Ali and Leah, and the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.